What's up, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. Are you guys out there scared to buy your first Airbnb short-term rental? Or this really would apply also to any type of real estate investment, any type of long-term investment, commercial real estate, parking lot, self-storage or whatever. But this Airbnb channel, so that we're going to talk about buying Airbnbs and VRBOs and short-term rentals. And if you guys haven't ever been here before, hit the subscribe button down below. That really helps. We're getting a lot of subscribers recently, and that's really cool. If you guys have been here, hit that like button down below. Because the thing is when I got into Airbnbs and short-term rentals, when I first started, I was terrified to make that first purchase. We have always purchased in these very desirable, very high-end short-term rental markets, which is what I recommend getting into. And when you're buying into something like that, this is like buying into like the New York City, LA, San Francisco type of markets, not really that expensive as those. The buildings are very expensive. And so for me, I am not a, independently wealthy person. I, have a regular job, 80 to 100,000 a year, something like that. And so buying a property that was 525,000, that was 250 miles away from where I live, that would be rented out on a short-term basis to people coming and going and all the things that go along with that. That was a very scary thing, and I can say that my business partners, I'm sure, were scared as well.
I'm afraid. All right. You want to hear me say it? You want to break me down? All right, I'm afraid.
In the end of it, it's the best money that I've ever spent. It's created some of the largest returns, some of the largest growths in my net worth. And the reason is because when we put the numbers together and we really thought about it, everything worked. And we were talking to other people, we were networking with folks, and we knew it was going to work. And so we had to get through that fear, get through that analysis paralysis, and make the deal, do all the hard work that you have to put in upfront, and it's paid off big time. Every purchase that I have made since I got into real estate investing in 2013 has been scary. Even the first $18,000 house that we bought, it was like, are we going to make any money on this? Are we just throwing $18,000 down the drain or whatever? But the results that we have achieved have been more than worth it over time. We have stepped up from that first $18,000 house, and through a couple of reinvestments and such, we now own $1.2 million of Airbnb real estate, and we are now under contract for another Airbnb in the Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge market for $659,000. And the reason that all of this has worked, is that I have consistently stepped outside of my comfort zone. And every single time it has paid off in a big way. The comfort zone is where your dreams go to die. It's where you get fat and lazy, and it's not a great place to be. And so when I've stepped outside of my comfort zone, especially with these Airbnb properties, because this was a lot different than long-term rentals. The long-term rentals are very consistent. The money's consistent. There's not much you have to do with them. As short-term rentals, the money is inconsistent. On some months, we might only make $3,000, $4,000 on a property. On other months, we're up to $12,000, and there's a lot of turnover and interacting with the staff that we have down there, the people that we have working for us. But every time that we've done this, and I've stepped outside of my comfort zone, I've had growth in my income significantly, growth in my net worth, and growth in my personal life. Being the network of people that I'm dealing with. When I first started out in this, it was, folks like me, and now I'm regularly networking, at least on an online basis, with people that are millionaires, multimillionaires, and they've always said that the company you keep is who you become, and I think that there is a lot to be said about that, and with the advantage of the internet and you being able to get out there and listen to these people and how they have made their money and, follow their lead. There's also been a lot of personal growth in just basically confidence and, just knowing that I can achieve these things, get these things together. And if you guys are out there still looking for your first one, you don't have necessarily this basis of knowledge and this basis of confidence, but it does grow over time. So here is how we are going to get you over your fear of buying that first Airbnb, VRBO, or even long-term rental. And it's going to, help you get over the fear of putting out, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of your hard-earned dollars and taking on 6 figures of debt, maybe 4 or 5 times over, maybe 7 figures of debt. Because there's just a lot of limiting beliefs out there about what you can achieve and what your dreams are going to be, if they're going to be achievable or whatever. But the biggest thing that keeps people from doing any of this is that they are constantly listening to their peers. You have got to stop listening to your peers that are in the same financial situation that you are in, that are in the same job that you are in, and are just content with working their 9 to 5 for 40 years until they're 60, retiring, and basically being paycheck to paycheck or poor their entire lives. They have a lot of misconceptions about investing in real estate, and they will tell you the same things. And I guarantee you, if you've talked about investing in real estate, you will have heard these things from people who are not invested in real estate and who have no experience in this whatsoever, but they just parrot the same wrong information. They say that you're going to be dealing with clogged toilets, you're going to be dealing with trashed units, you're going to be dealing with a market crash, and a market crash is going to put you out of business, that you're going to go broke doing real estate. Every single person said this, other than a couple of people that I was talking to about investing in real estate. And, over time, they have kind of changed their tune as this has worked, as I continue to build properties, as I continue to build my income, my net worth, and my portfolio. It's this, it's the same thing about the process and the outcome. People only want to see the outcome. They don't want to be part of the process, and that it's that process there that people doubt, and they doubt you. And so, if you guys can stop listening to your peers about real estate and start listening to people that are actually doing it, people that have experience, even people that have experience in downturns and bad times, that will probably get you a lot farther than listening to these people. I can tell you right now, in almost 10 years of investing in real estate, I have never had a clogged toilet call ever. Now, knock on wood, we'll see how that, if that jinxes me. But that is a thing that is probably not going to be a problem for you. The next is that you need to understand and accept analysis paralysis. This is where you are looking for more information, even though that you have all of the information that you could possibly need to make a decision on a property. You just need a little bit more. You need that one little bit of information, and you can do this till you just don't buy anything else. That's why it's paralysis, because you keep analyzing whatever. At some point, you have to make that decision that you have all the information. There are some gray areas that you may not know, but it looks like this is going to be a good idea. And if your gut says it's a good idea, you need to pull the trigger on that thing. And if your gut says that it's not a good idea, but the information very much says that it is a good idea, you may want to take a second, step back, and look and say, maybe my gut is wrong on this one because I've been listening to all these other people and that I'm stuck in some sort of analysis paralysis situation. So here's how you get out of that analysis paralysis situation that you're probably going to find yourself in, especially if you're on your first one and your down payment money is like a lot of the money that you've ever saved up in your entire life. The thing is that you need to start running your numbers. And what I like to do, especially if I'm getting into that analysis paralysis, and I still do that to this date, even though I have bought, several properties over the course of 10 years, is that you need to run your worst case numbers and your best case numbers. And when you run your worst case numbers, you have to sit there and say, what is the minimum that you can rent this place for over the course of a year and just break even, where you just cover your costs? And that is the worst case scenario. But even in that worst case scenario, if you're renting it and you're just covering costs, you're still going to be ending up paying down that mortgage by the tenants or the guests making their rent payments, and then you paying your mortgage payment. You're gaining equity in that property. It's appreciating in value. You're going to take depreciation against all of that income that you're making on that property and probably be able to shelter some of your W-2 income, and you're going to be able to deduct all the expenses that you have. So even at that minimum level, you're still going to make money. And that level is probably going to be so shockingly low when you compare it to the market and what other people are renting it for, that there is almost no chance that you are going to hit that level. Then you run it for the best case scenario, which is going to be if you have a premium property, you can rent it for more than what other properties are renting for. And in that case, it's probably going to be shockingly high. Like you're like, I'm going to buy this one single property and I'm going to be able to quit my job. And that's not going to happen. But run those two scenarios. Your real life numbers are going to be somewhere between this stupidly high number and this shockingly low number. And that is where your Airbnb rental is probably going to operate in. So if you can, wrap your head around those two extremes and fall somewhere in the middle there, that's going to be a great way for you to get out of that analysis paralysis mode and get in on it. The thing is if you guys are buying in these premier markets, these top end markets, Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge for short-term rentals, Destin, Panama City Beach, anywhere pretty much on the Gulf Coast of Texas, Alabama, Florida, Big Bear, California, Broken Bow, places that are traditionally short-term rental areas where they're not going to come in and make some sort of regulation that significantly restricts short-term rentals. You're probably not going to lose money. I've analyzed probably hundreds of these deals in my head on paper, and every single time I've come to one where it's a deal that is like a marginal deal as far as profit goes, I've always been like, there is no way that we are going to lose money, but mate, let's look for something that has a little bit more meat on the bone. If you're looking at buying an Airbnb or VRBO or even a long-term rental, and that is super scary to you, this was the biggest thing that got me motivated and moving towards achieving my goals in real estate and stock market investing and YouTube or whatever, is I want you to consider what the alternative is for your life. You can either just stay with what you're doing, you can continue on your 9 to 5, and maybe you have a super high paying, high reward 9 to 5, and that's just fine with you, and whatever you put in your 401k works, and that is what you want to do. Maybe that is okay as far as the lifestyle that you want to lead or whatever. But if you guys have big dreams, if you want to achieve big things, if you want to quit that 9 to 5 or be able to at some point, retire and legitimately retire, you guys are going to need to dream big. And the alternative to buying these Airbnb rentals, to buying long-term rentals, if that's what you want to get into, is sitting at that 9 to 5 job, going to high school, going to college, getting that 9 to 5 job, doing like 40 years in that 9 to 5 job that you hate, getting 2 weeks off a year, not seeing, your kids grow up a lot of times. A lot of times there's travel and what have you that goes along with that. Retiring when you're somewhere between 65 and 70, maybe you've saved up $1 million in a 401k and you're like, that's pretty good. And then you look at what that 4% return is, and it's, $40,000 a year before taxes are taken out, because the government's going to get their money eventually. And then you're sitting there looking at about like a $3,000 a month 401k from the time that you're, 65 to 70 till the day you die, and you never really achieve the financial goals that you put forth. You never have achieved really financial freedom, and that is your life. Or you guys dream big, invest in these Airbnbs that are going to throw off cash flow, that are going to build your net worth, that maybe in 5 or 10 years that you can sell them and have a $400,000 or $500,000 increase in the equity. Cash that out is much quicker than you're going to probably be able to put money away in that 401k in order to get that $3,000 a month after tax 401k withdrawal. Guys, click on these videos that are on the screen right now. They're going to tell you about the type of Airbnbs that we are buying right now, the type of Airbnbs that we have, how we run our Airbnb business, especially how we self-manage it from a long way away. Subscribe if you guys haven't yet. It would really help us out. Hit that like button. That also really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate you guys watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.